Hello, welcome to Know-A-Tree. My name is Jacob White, and as you can see, I'm just about ready to turn in for the night. But I thought first we could read some selections of poetry and tales, and maybe a nice Irish blessing or two. Sit back, perhaps pause and make yourself some tea or a nice evening beverage, and please enjoy this episode of Know-A-Tree with me. First, I thought we could begin with a prayer that my mother used to recite to my sister and me before bed. It goes a little something like, "May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand." And now a couple of Irish blessings and poems about Ireland. The first one by E. Gary Brooks. Whenever I dream, it seems I dream of Erin's rolling hills, of all its lovely, shimmery lakes and little babbling rills. I hear a colleen's lilting laugh across a meadow fair, and in my dreams it almost seems to me that I am there. O Ireland, we're never far apart, for you and all your beauty fill my mind and touch my heart. And now one by a favorite essayist of mine, G.K. Chesterton. For the great Gaels of Ireland are the men that God made mad, for all their wars are merry, and all their songs are sad. And another short poem by John Locke. O Ireland, isn't it grand you look like a bride in her rich adornin', and with all the pent-up love of my heart, I bid you the top of the mornin'. And a well-known Irish blessing, "May you be half an hour in heaven before the devil knows you're dead." And finally, Irish luck's proverbial. It never fails, they say, and that's the kind I'm wishing you with all my heart today. And faith, that's not the half of it. I wish you fun and laughter, good friends and health and happiness today and ever after. And now an Irish folk tale titled The Dream House. A few years ago there was a lady living in Ireland, a Mrs. Butler. Clever, handsome, popular, prosperous, and perfectly happy. One morning she said to her husband and to anyone who was staying there, "Last night I had the most wonderful night. I seemed to be spending hours in the most delightful place, in the most enchanting house I ever saw. Not large, you know, but just the sort of house one might live in oneself, and oh, so perfectly, so deliciously comfortable. Then there was the loveliest conservatory, and the garden was so enchanting. I wonder if anything half so perfect can really exist." And the next morning she said, "Well, I have been to my house again. I must have been there for hours. I sat in the library. I walked on the terrace. I examined all the bedrooms, and it is simply the most perfect house in the world." So it grew to be quite a joke in the family. People would ask Mrs. Butler in the beginning if she had been to her house in the night, and often she had, and always with more intense enjoyment. She would say, "I count the hours till bedtime, that I may get back to my house." Then gradually the current of outside life flowed in and gave a turn to their thoughts. The house ceased to be talked about. 2 years ago the Butlers grew weary of their life in Ireland. The district was wild and disturbed. The people were insolent and ungrateful. At last they said, "We are well off. We have no children. There's no reason why we should put up with this, and we'll go and live altogether in England." So they came to London, and sent for all the house agents' lists of places within 40 miles of London, and many were the places they went to see. At last they heard of a house in Hampshire. They went to it by rail and drove from the station. As they came to the lodge, Mrs. Butler said, "Do you know, this is the lodge of my house." They drove down an avenue. "But this is my house," she said. When the housekeeper came, she said, "You will think it very odd, but do you mind my showing you the house? That passage leads to the library, and through that there is a conservatory, and then through a window you enter the drawing room," etc. And it was all so. At last, in an upstairs passage, they came upon a baize door. Mrs. Butler for the first time looked puzzled. "But that door is not in my house," she said. "I don't understand about your house, ma'am," said the housekeeper, "but that door has only been there 6 weeks." Well, the house was for sale, and the price asked for was very small, and they decided to buy it at once. But when it was bought and paid for, the price had been so extraordinarily small that they could not help a misgiving that there must be something wrong with the place. So they went to the agent of the people who had sold it, and said, "Well, now the purchase is made and the deeds are signed, will you mind telling us why the price asked was so small?" The agent had started violently when they came in, but recovered himself. Then he said to Mrs. Butler, "Yes, it is quite true. The matter is quite settled, so there can be no harm in telling you now. The fact is that the house has had a great reputation for being haunted, but you, madam, need be under no apprehensions, for you yourself are the ghost." And now a poem by Phillis Wheatley, titled "A Hymn to the Evening." Soon as the sun forsook the eastern main, the pealing thunder shook the heavenly plain. Majestic grandeur from the zephyr's wing exhales the incense of the blooming spring. Soft purl the streams, the birds renew their notes, and through the air their mingled music floats. Through all the heavens what beauteous dyes are spread, but the west glories in the deepest red. So may our breasts with every virtue glow, the living temples of our God below. Filled with the praise of him who gives the light, and draws the sable curtains of the night, let placid slumbers soothe each weary mind, at morn to wake, more heavenly, more refined. So shall the labors of the day begin, more pure, more guarded from the snares of sin. Night's leaden scepter seals my drowsy eyes, then cease my song till fair aurora rise. And now a few by a favorite poet from my childhood, Shel Silverstein. The first, titled "Prayer of the Selfish Child." Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep, and if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my toys to break, so none of the other kids can use 'em. Amen. And now one titled "Tired." I've been working so hard you just wouldn't believe, and I'm tired. There's so little time and so much to achieve, and I'm tired. I've been lying here holding the grass in its place, pressing a leaf with the side of my face, tasting the apples to see if they're sweet, counting the toes on a centipede's feet. I've been memorizing the shape of that cloud, warning the robins to not chirp so loud, shooing the butterflies off the tomatoes, keeping an eye out for floods and tornadoes. I've been supervising the work of the ants and thinking of pruning the cantaloupe plants, timing the sun to see what time it sets, calling the fish to swim into my nets. And I've taken 12,041 breaths, and I'm tired. And now one called Moon-Catchin net. I've made me a moon-catchin net, and I'm going hunting tonight. I'll run along swinging it over my head and grab for that big ball of light. So tomorrow just look at the sky, and if there's no moon, you can bet I've found what I sought, and I finally caught the moon in my moon-catchin net. But if the moon's still shining there, look close underneath and you'll get a clear look at me in the sky swinging free with a star in my moon-catchin net. And now a short one, titled Rockabye. Rockabye baby in the treetop, don't you know a treetop is no safe place to rock? And who put you up there, and your cradle too? Baby, I think someone down here's got it in for you. And now, standing is stupid. Standing is stupid, crawling's a curse, skipping is silly, walking is worse, hopping is hopeless, jumping's a chore, sitting is senseless, learning's a bore, running's ridiculous, jogging's insane. Guess I'll go upstairs and lie down again. And finally, Frozen Dream. I'll take the dream I had last night and put it in my freezer. So someday long and far away, when I'm an old gray geezer, I'll take it out and thaw it out, this lovely dream I've frozen, and boil it up and sit me down and dip my old cold toes in. And now a few by Emily Dickinson. The first from The Life Cycle, number 2. Our share of night to bear, our share of morning, our blank in bliss to fill, our blank in scorning. Here a star and there a star, some lose their way. Here a mist and there a mist, afterwards, day. And now a few from The Time and Eternity Cycle. This one, number 34. The daisy follows soft the sun, and when his golden walk is done, sits shyly at his feet. He, waking, finds the flower near. Wherefore, marauder, art thou here? Because, sir, love is sweet. We are the flower, thou the sun. Forgive us if, as days decline, we nearer steal to thee. Enamored of the parting west, the peace, the flight, the amethyst, night's possibility. And now number 96. 'Tis sunrise, little maid, hast thou no station in the day? 'Twas not thy wont to hinder so, retrieve thine industry. 'Tis noon, my little maid, alas, and art thou sleeping yet? The lily waiting to be wed, the bee dost thou forget? My little maid, 'tis night, alas, that night should be to thee instead of morning. Hadst thou broached thy little plan to me, dissuade thee if I could not, sweet, I might have aided thee. And number 99. as far from pity as complaint, as cool to speech as stone, as numb to revelation as if my trade were bone, as far from time as history, as near yourself today, as children to the rainbow's scarf or sunset's yellow play, to eyelids in the sepulchre, how still the dancer lies, while color's revelations break and blaze the butterflies. And now a few from the poem In Memoriam by Alfred Lord Tennyson, written to his friend Arthur Henry Hallam. We'll read numbers 67 through 69. When on my bed the moonlight falls, I know that in thy place of rest, by that broad water of the west, there comes a glory on the walls. Thy marble bright and dark appears, as slowly steals a silver flame along the letters of thy name and o'er the number of the years. The mystic glory swims away from off my bed, the moonlight dies, and closing eves of wearied eyes, I sleep till dusk is dipped in gray. And then I know the mist is drawn, a lucid veil from coast to coast, and in the dark church like a ghost, thy tablet glimmers to the dawn. When in the down I sink my head, sleep, death's twin brother, times my breath. Sleep, death's twin brother, knows not death, nor can I dream of thee as dead. I walk as ere I walked forlorn, when all our path was fresh with dew, and all the bugle breezes blew, reveille to the breaking morn. But what is this? I turn about, I find a trouble in thine eye, which makes me sad, I know not why, nor can my dream resolve the doubt. But ere the lark hath left the lea, I wake, and I discern the truth. It is the trouble of my youth, that foolish sleep transfers to thee. I dreamed there would be spring no more, that nature's ancient power was lost. The streets were black with smoke and frost, they chattered trifles at the door. I wandered from the noisy town, I found a wood with thorny boughs. I took the thorns to bind my brows, I wore them like a civic crown. I met with scoffs, I met with scorns, from youth and babe and hoary hairs. They called me in the public squares, the fool that wears a crown of thorns. They called me fool, they called me child. I found an angel of the night. The voice was low, the look was bright. He looked upon my crown and smiled. He reached the glory of a hand that seemed to touch it into leaf. The voice was not the voice of grief. The words were hard to understand. Now a few by Paul Laurence Dunbar. The first, called A Summer's Night. The night is dewy as a maiden's mouth. The skies are bright as are a maiden's eyes. Soft as a maiden's breath, the wind that flies up from the perfumed bosom of the south. Like sentinels, the pines stand in the park, and hither hastening, like rakes that roam with lamps to light their wayward footsteps home. The fireflies come staggering down the dark. And this one why fades a dream? Why fades a dream, an iridescent ray flecked in between the tryst of night and day? Why fades a dream? Of consciousness the shade wrought out by lack of light and made upon life's stream. Why fades a dream? That thought may thrive, so fades the fleshless dream, lest men should learn to trust the things that seem. So fades a dream, that living thought may grow, and like a waxing starbeam glow upon life's stream. So fades a dream. And finally, Lover's Lane by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Summer night and sighing breeze long to Lover's Lane. Friendly shader making trees long to Lover's Lane. White folks work all done up grand, me and Mandy hand in hand, strutting like we own the land long to Lover's Lane. Owl a settin' side the road long to Lover's Lane, looking at us like he knowed this is Lover's Lane. Go on hoot your mournful tune, you ain't never loved in June, and come hiding from the moon down in Lover's Lane. Bust it bend and nod and sway down in Lover's Lane, trying to hear me what I say long to Lover's Lane. But I whispers low like this, and my Mandy smile her bliss. Mr. Bush he shake his fist down in Lover's Lane. What I care if day is long down in Lover's Lane? I can allus sing a song long to Lover's Lane. And the woods I hear and say makes up for the weary day when I strollin' by the way down in Lover's Lane. And this thought will allus rise down in Lover's Lane. Wonder whether in the skies there's a Lover's Lane. If they ain't, I tell you true, 'ligion do look mighty blue, 'cause I do know what I do down a Lover's Lane. And now a pair of poems, one by Elizabeth Barrett Browning and one by her husband Robert Browning. The first by Elizabeth, titled Weariness. Mine eyes are weary of surveying the fairest things too soon decaying. My ears are weary of receiving the kindest words, past believing. Weary my hope of ebb and flow, weary my pulse of tunes and woe. My trusting heart is weariest. I would I were at rest. For me can earth refuse to fade? For me can words be faithful made? Will my embittered hope be sweet? My pulse forego the human beat? No, darkness must consume mine eye, silence mine ear, hope cease, pulse die, and o'er mine heart a stone be pressed, or vain this, would I were at rest. There is a land of rest deferred, nor eye hath seen, nor ear hath heard, nor hope hath trod the precinct door, for hope beheld its hope no more. There human pulse forgets its tone, there hearts may know as they are known. Oh, for doves' wings, thou dwelling blessed, to fly to thee and be at rest. And now a short one by Robert Browning, titled Bad Dreams. Last night I saw you in my sleep, and how your charm of face was changed. I asked, some love, some faith you keep. You answered, faith gone, love estranged. Whereat I woke, a twofold bliss, Waking was one, but next there came this other. Though I felt for this my heart break, I loved on the same. And now a poem by Sylvia Plath entitled Alicant Lullaby. In Alicant they bowl the barrels bumblingly over the nubs of the cobbles, past the yellow paella eateries, below the ramshackle back alley balconies, while the cocks and hens in the roof gardens scuttle repose with crowns and cackles. Kumquat-colored trolleys ding as they trundle, passengers under an indigo fizzle, needly spoomily down from the wires, alongside the sibilant harbor the lovers, hear the loudspeakers boom. From each neon-lit palm, rumbas and sambas no earflaps can muffle. O cacophony, goddess of jazz and of quarrels, crack-throated mistress of bagpipes and cymbals, let be your conbrios, your capriccios, crescendos, cadenzas, prestos, and prestissimos, my head on the pillow, piano, pianissimo, lillayed by susurros, lyres, and viols. And now the lovely T.S. Eliot with a poem called Rhapsody on a Windy Night. "12 o'clock, along the reaches of the street, held in lunar synthesis, whispering lunar incantations, dissolved the floors of memory and all its clear relations, its divisions and precisions. Every street lamp that I pass beats like a fatalistic drum, and through the spaces of the dark midnight shakes the memory as a madman shakes a dead geranium. 1:30, the street lamp sputtered, the street lamp muttered, the street lamp said, regard that woman who hesitates toward you in the light of the door which opens on her like a grin. You see the border of her dress is torn and stained with sand, and you see the corner of her eye twists like a crooked pin. The memory throws up high and dry a crowd of twisted things, a twisted branch upon the beach eaten smooth and polished, as if the world gave up the secret of its skeleton, stiff and white. A broken spring in a factory yard, rust that clings to the form that the strength has left hard and curled and ready to snap. 2:30, the street lamp said, remark that cat which flattens itself in the gutter, slips out its tongue and devours a morsel of rancid butter. So the hand of the child, automatic, slipped out and pocketed a toy that was running along the quay. I could see nothing behind that child's eye. I have seen eyes in the street, trying to peer through lighted shutters, and a crab one afternoon in a pool, an old crab with barnacles on his back, gripped the end of a stick which I held him. 3:30, the lamp sputtered, the lamp muttered in the dark, the lamp hummed, regard the moon, la lune regarde, aucune rancune. She winks a feeble eye, she smiles into corners, she smooths the hair of the grass. The moon has lost her memory. A washed-out smallpox cracks her face, her hand twists a paper rose that smells of dust and eau de cologne. She is alone, with all the old nocturnal smells that cross and cross her brain. The reminiscence comes of sunless dry geraniums, and dust in crevices, smells of chestnuts in the street, and female smells in shuttered rooms, and cigarettes in corridors, and cocktail smells in bars. The lamp said, 4 o'clock. Here is the number on the door. Memory. You have the key. The little lamp spreads a ring on the stair. Mount. The bed is open. The toothbrush hangs on the wall. Put your shoes at the door. Sleep. Prepare for life. The last twist of the knife. And now a few by Edgar Allan Poe. The first called Introduction. Romance who loves to nod and sing with drowsy head and folded wing among the green leaves as they shake far down within some shadowy lake, to me a painted paroquet hath been, a most familiar bird, taught me my alphabet to say, to lisp my very earliest word, while in the wild wood I did lie, a child, with a most knowing eye. Succeeding years, too wild for song, then rolled like tropic storms along, where, though the garish lights that fly, dying along the troubled sky, lay bare, through vistas thunder-riven, the blackness of the general heaven, that very blackness yet doth fling light on the lightning's silver wing. For being an idle boy lang syne, who read Anacreon and drank wine, I early found Anacreon rhymes were almost passionate sometimes, and by strange alchemy of brain his pleasures always turned to pain, his naivete to wild desire, his wits to love, his wine to fire. And so, being young and dipped in folly, I fell in love with melancholy, and used to throw my earthly rest, and quiet all away in jest. I could not love except where death was mingling his with beauty's breath, or Hymen, time, and destiny were stalking between her and me. Oh, then the eternal condor years so shook the very heavens on high with tumult as they thundered by. I had no time for idle cares through gazing on the unquiet sky, or if an hour with calmer wing its down did on my spirit fling, that little hour with lyre and rhyme to while away, forbidden thing, my heart half feared to be a crime unless it trembled with the spring. But now my soul hath too much room, gone are the glory and the gloom, the black hath mellowed into gray, and all the fires are fading away. My draught of passion hath been deep, I revelled, and I now would sleep, and after drunkenness of soul succeeds the glories of the bowl, and idle longing night and day to dream my very life away. But dreams of those who I dream as I, aspiringly, are damned and die. Yet should I swear I mean alone, by notes so very shrilly blown, to break upon time's monotone, while yet my vapid joy and grief are tintless of the yellow leaf, why not an imp the greybeard hath will shake his shadow in my path, and even the greybeard will o'erlook connivingly my dreaming book. And now 1-2. The bowers whereat in dreams I see the wantonest singing birds are lips, and all thy melody of lip-begotten words. Thine eyes, in heaven of heart enshrined, then desolately fall, O God, on my funereal mind like starlight on a pall. Thy heart, I wake and sigh, and sleep to dream till day of the truth that gold may never buy, of the baubles that it may. Now one of his, titled Fairyland. Dim vales and shadowy floods and cloudy-looking woods whose forms we can't discover for the tears that drip all over, huge moons there wax and wane, again, 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 every moment of the night, forever changing places, and they put out the starlight with the breath from their pale faces. About 12 by the moon-dial, one more filmy than the rest, a kind which, upon trial, they have found to be the best, comes down, still down, and down, with its center on the crown of a mountain's eminence, while its wide circumference in easy drapery falls over hamlets, over halls, wherever they may be, or the strange woods, or the sea, over spirits on the wing, over every drowsy thing, and buries them up quite in a labyrinth of light. And then, how deep, oh deep, is the passion of their sleep. In the morning they arise, and their moony covering is soaring in the skies with the tempests as they toss, like almost anything, or a yellow albatross. They use that moon no more for the same end as before, videlicet a tent, which I think extravagant, its atomies, however, into a shower dissever, of which those butterflies of earth who seek the skies and so come down again, never contented things, have brought a specimen upon their quivering wings. And finally, Serenade by Edgar Allan Poe. So sweet the hour, so calm the time, I feel it more than half a crime when nature sleeps and stars are mute to mar the silence even with lute. At rest on ocean's brilliant dyes an image of Elysium lies. 7 Pleiades entranced in heaven form in the deep another 7, Endymion nodding from above sees in the sea a second love, within the valleys dim and brown, and on the spectral mountain's crown the wearied light is lying down. The earth and stars and sea and sky are redolent of sleep, as I am redolent of thee and thine enthralling love, my Adeline. But list, oh list, so soft and low, thy lover's voice to-night shall flow, that, scarce awake, thy soul shall deem my words the music of a dream. Thus, while no single sound too rude upon thy slumber shall intrude, our thoughts, our souls, O God above, in every deed shall mingle love. And now, a poem by Walter de la Mare. Titled, I Met at Eve the Prince of Sleep. I met at eve the Prince of Sleep. His was a still and lovely face. He wandered through a valley steep, lovely in a lonely place. His garb was gray of lavender, about his head a poppy wreath burned like dim coals, and everywhere the air was sweeter for his breath. His twilight feet no sandals wore, his eyes shone faint in their own flame. Fair moths that gloomed his steps before seemed letters of his lovely name. His house is in the mountain ways, a phantom house of misty walls, whose golden flocks at evening graze, and which the moon with muffled calls. Upwelling from his shadowy springs, sweet waters shake a trembling sound, There flit the hoot owl's silent wings, there hath his web the silkworm wound. Dark in his pools clear visions lurk, and rosy as with morning buds, along his dales of broom and birk, dream haunt his solitary woods. And now a poem called To Sleep by John Keats. O soft embalmer of the still midnight, shutting with careful fingers and benign our gloom-pleased eyes, embowered from the light, enshaded in forgetfulness divine, our soothest sleep, if so it please thee, close in midst of this thine hymn my willing eyes, or wait the Amen, ere thy poppy throws around my bed its lulling charities. Then save me, or the past day will shine upon my pillow, breeding many woes. Save me from curious conscience that still lords its strength from darkness, burrowing like a mole. Turn the key deftly in the oiled wards, and seal the hushed casket of my soul. And finally, a poem by Gwendolyn B. Bennett entitled Fantasy. I sailed in my dreams to the land of the night, where you were the dusk-eyed queen, and there in the pallor of moon-veiled light the loveliest things were seen. A slim-necked peacock sauntered there in a garden of lavender hues, and you were strange with your purple hair as you sat in your amethyst chair with your feet in your hyacinth shoes. Oh, the moon gave a bluish light through the trees in the land of dreams and night. I stood behind a bush of yellow green and whistled a song to the dark-haired queen. And now a poem by Sir Philip Sidney. You know what? I grabbed the wrong book. Forgive me one moment. What did I miss? This is from the Astrophel and Stella cycle by Sir Philip Sidney. Come sleep, O sleep, the certain knot of peace, the baiting place of wit, the balm of woe, the poor man's wealth, the prisoner's release, the indifferent judge between the high and low. With shield of proof, shield me from out the prease of those fierce darts despair at me doth throw. Oh, make in me those civil wars to cease. I will good tribute pay if thou do so. Take thou of me smooth pillows, sweetest bed, a chamber deaf to noise and blind to light, a rosy garland and a weary head. And if these things, as being thine and right, move not thy heavy grace, thou shalt in me, livelier than elsewhere, Stella's image see. And now, a poem by Samuel Daniel from the 16th century, or possibly the early 17th. Care charmer sleep, son of the sable night, brother to death, in silent darkness born, relieve my languish and restore the light. With dark forgetting of my care return, and let the day be time enough to mourn the shipwreck of my ill-adventured youth. Let waking eyes suffice to wail their scorn without the torment of the night's untruth. Cease, dreams, the images of day desires, to model forth the passions of the morrow. Never let rising sun approve you liars, to add more grief to aggravate my sorrow. Still let me sleep, embracing clouds in vain, and never wake to feel the day's disdain. Maybe I'll read that at the end. That was an errant tab. Now, a poem by a poet I hadn't read before. Charles Cotton, firmly in the 17th century, called Summer Evening. The day's grown old, the fainting sun has but a little way to run, and yet his steeds, with all his skill, scarce lug the chariot down the hill. The shadows now so long do grow that brambles like tall cedars show, mole hills seem mountains, and the ant appears a monstrous elephant. A very little flock shades thrice the ground that it would stalk, whilst the small stripling following them appears a mighty polyphem. These being brought into the fold, and by the thrifty master told, he thinks his wages well are paid, since none are either lost or strayed. The hedge is stripped, the clothes brought in, naught's left without that should be in. The bees are hived and hum their charm, whilst every house does seem a swarm. The cock now to the roost is pressed, for he must call up all the rest. The sow's fat pegged within the sty, to still her squeaky progeny. Each one has had his supping mess. The cheese is put into the press, the pans and bowls, clean scalded all, reared up against the milk-house wall. And now on benches all are sat, in the cool air to sit and chat, till Phoebus, dipping in the west, shall lead the world the way to rest. And now a poem by Thomas Lovell Beddoes, titled Dream Peddlery. If there were dreams to sell, what would you buy? Some cost a passing bell, some a light sigh that shakes from life's fresh crown only a rose leaf down. If there were dreams to sell, merry and sad to tell, and the crier rung the bell, what would you buy? A cottage lone and still, with bowers nigh, shadowy, my woes to still until I die. Such pearl from life's fresh crown, fain would I shake me down, were dreams to have at will. This would best heal my ill, this would I buy. If there are ghosts to raise, what shall I call? Out of hell's murky haze, heaven's blue pall, raise my loved, long-lost boy, to lead me to his joy. There are no ghosts to raise, out of death lead no ways. Vain is the call. Knowest thou not ghosts to sue? No love thou hast, else lie as I will do, and breathe my last. So out of life's fresh crown fall like a rose leaf down. Thus are the ghosts to woo, thus are all dreams made true. ever to last. And now a couple of poems by Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The first, called The Day is Done. The day is done, and the darkness falls from the wings of night, as a feather is wafted downward from an eagle in his flight. I see the lights of the village gleam through the rain and the mist, and a feeling of sadness comes o'er me that my soul cannot resist. A feeling of sadness and longing that is not akin to pain, and resembles sorrow only, as the mist resembles the rain. Come, read to me some poem, some simple and heartfelt lay, that shall soothe this restless feeling and banish the thoughts of the day. Not from the grand old masters, not from the bards sublime, whose distant footsteps echo through the corridors of time. For the strains of martial music, their mighty thoughts suggest life's endless toil and endeavor, and tonight I long for rest. Read from some humble poet, whose songs gushed from his heart as showers from the clouds of summer, or tears from the eyelids start. Who through long days of labor and nights devoid of cease, still early in his soul the music of wonderful melodies. Such songs have power to quiet the restless pulse of care, and come like the benediction that follows after prayer. Then read from the treasured volume the poem of thy choice, and lend to the rhyme of the poet the beauty of thy voice. And the night shall be filled with music, and the cares that infest the day shall fold their tents like the Arabs, as silently steal away. And one more by Longfellow, this one titled Hymn to the Night. I heard the trailing garments of the night sweep through her marble halls, and saw her sable skirts all fringed with light from the celestial walls. I felt her presence by its spell of might stoop o'er me from above, the calm majestic presence of the night, as of the one I love. I heard the sounds of sorrow and delight, the manifold, soft chimes that fill the haunted chambers of the night, like some old poet's rhymes. From the cool cisterns of the midnight air my spirit drank repose. The fountain of perpetual peace flows there, from those deep cisterns flows. O holy night, from thee I learned to bear what man has borne before. Thou layest thy finger on the lips of care, and they complain no more. Peace, peace, Orestes like, I breathe this prayer. Descend with broad-winged flight, the welcome, the thrice paid for, and most fair, the best beloved night. And now a poem by Christina Rossetti, titled Rest. O earth, lie heavily upon her eyes, seal her sweet eyes, weary of watching, earth. Lie close around her, leave no room for mirth, with its harsh laughter, nor for sound of sighs. She hath no questions, she hath no replies. hushed in and curtained with a blessed dearth of all that irked her from the hour of birth, with stillness that is almost paradise. Darkness more clear than noonday holdeth her, silence more musical than any song. Even her very heart has ceased to stir until the morning of eternity. Her rest shall not begin nor end, but be, and when she wakes, she will not think it long. And one more by Rossetti, called Sleeping at Last. Sleeping at last, the struggle and horror past, sleeping at last, the trouble and tumult over, cold and white, out of sight of friend and of lover, sleeping at last. No more a tired heart downcast or overcast, no more pangs that ring or shifting fears that hover, sleeping at last in a dreamless sleep, locked fast. Fast asleep, singing birds in their leafy cover cannot wake her, nor shake her the gusty blast, under the purple thyme and the purple clover, sleeping at last. And now, our penultimate poet, Robert Louis Stevenson, of Dr. Jekyll fame. This titled Escape at Bedtime. The lights from the parlor and kitchen shone out through the blinds and the windows and bars, and high overhead and all moving about there were thousands of millions of stars. There ne'er were such thousands of leaves on a tree, nor of people in church or the park, as the crowds of the stars that looked down upon me, and that glittered and winked in the dark. The dog and the plough and the hunter and all, and the star of the sailor and Mars, these shone in the sky, and the pail by the wall would be half full of water and stars. They saw me at last, and they chased me with cries, and they soon had me packed into bed. But the glory kept shining and bright in my eyes, and the stars going round in my head. And one more by Stevenson, this titled Requiem. Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me die. Glad did I live and gladly die, and I laid me down with a will. This be the verse you grave me for. Here he lies where he longed to be. Home is the sailor, home from the sea, and the hunter, home from the hill. And I think we'll close with some Shakespeare. This one's sonnet number 27. I thank y'all for watching and listening, and I wish you a pleasant good night. Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed, the dear repose for limbs with travel tired. But then begins a journey in my head to work the mind, when body's work's expired. For then my thoughts, from far where I abide, intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee, which keep my drooping eyelids open wide, looking on darkness which the blind do see. Save that my soul's imaginary sight presents thy shadow to my sightless view, which, like a jewel hung in ghastly night, makes black night beauteous and her old face new. Lo, thus by day my limbs, by night my mind, for thee and for myself, no quiet find. Hope you've enjoyed these, and I hope you'll come back for the next episode of Know-It-Tree. May you be half an hour in heaven before the devil knows you're dead. Good night.